Hi, Bashar. How are you doing?
Perfect. And you? Good day.
Great. I'm very grateful for the interaction. Thank you for the opportunity.
My pleasure, my passion.
Thank you. So my first question is around aging. You've mentioned before that you're 100-some-year-old, but you still look like you're in your 30s. So I know you appreciate my interest in staying youthful. So there's a book by David Sinclair called Lifespan, where he explains that basically aging is the process of damage to the DNA. So I can walk through a quick example. For example, if a skin cell wants to replicate, it goes and it reads the instructions from the DNA to create a new cell. When the DNA is not damaged, all it finds is one set of instructions for a skin cell. But
Yes.
when we go through life and the DNA is damaged, the wrapping around some of the instructions get loose.
Yes.
And so now a skin cell goes to try to replicate into a new cell, and it finds different sets of instructions, for example,
Yes.
one for liver cell and whatnot.
Yes.
And that leads to defective cells, and therefore that leads to aging organs. So I would love to hear your thoughts about that, and if there is any way for us to prevent damage to the DNA, or even maybe reset it to its original state.
It all begins with energy. It all begins with state of being. It all begins with your belief systems about yourselves. Always start there. The patterns of energy are what determine what's going on within your DNA. And those patterns of energy, positive and negative, are all from the idea of what you have been taught to believe is true about your relationship to yourself, your relationship to others, your relationship to physical reality, all the definitions you hold on to that don't serve you, that are out of alignment with your true vibration. And it begins there. So being out of alignment with your true core frequency causes misalignments within your physical structure and in your DNA. So it all begins there. This is again why we give you the formula. Follow your passion. It keeps you aligned. That's the energy of connection between your physical and higher mind. It allows you to sustain a vibrational state of being that is representative of maturation, but not of denigration, not of disintegration. So it all starts with vibrational alignment, energy alignment within the self, and that translates into physical belief systems, definitions that you hold to be true that are not necessarily in alignment with who you really are.
Got it. Okay, so it's all about state being, but we need to be concerned about, for example, the collective consciousness and how it affects our DNA?
I would suggest that you be aware of it. You don't have to be concerned by it, but the more awareness you have of what you are making agreements to align with will certainly help guide you in what alignments and agreements you can let go of and which ones are actually beneficial for you.
Okay, got it. So if we actually kind of, I guess, control might not be the right word, but if we control our state of being, then it kind of overrides whatever collective consciousness is doing to our DNA.
Yes, unless you have chosen, and this could be unconsciously, to use the challenge in a particular way for yourself, then generally speaking, yes. As long as you allow yourself, not control, but allow
Allow.
yourself
Got it.
to align with your true core vibration, then yes, you can maintain a relatively youthful experience. Again, you can mature without the idea of denigrating yourself through the process you refer to as aging. However, again, some of this will still be a leftover residual experience from your connections to the collective consciousness and what you believe is possible or probable for you to experience. Now, this does not erase the idea that some people have chosen to experience the idea of aging and the denigration for their own purposes. So you may not necessarily eliminate all of it if people are using that experience to their benefit on a soul level in some way, shape, or form. So don't necessarily assume that it will all go away right away. But you can maintain a more youthful state and an energetic state by following the formula and staying in the present and being true to yourself and aligning harmoniously with your true core frequency.
Got it. Okay, thank you. And so as far as following the formula, I follow my excitement. So I do change a lot. And so I feel like that is part of following my excitement. Sometimes I do wonder whether this constant change is following my excitement versus, maybe
Avoidant.
avoidance of some.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do,
Well, as long as you constantly wonder that,
Mhm.
and as long as you constantly check in with yourself, as long as you are honest with your self-investigation, because I know that if you really think about it, you can tell the difference between excitement and anxiety if you're honest.
Yep.
So as long as you keep checking, then you will navigate yourself properly. Remember that the people that simply proceed to explore the idea of negativity never actually stop and question whether or not they are going in the correct direction for themselves. So the idea is that your willingness to check in and make sure that you are staying on the path that is true for you will usually mean that you will stay on the path that is true for you. But you will face challenges in doing so, and facing those challenges is part of the point of experiencing your path. So that's okay.
Okay.
As long as you are aware, that it could be from avoidance, then you will constantly investigate yourself and you will remain in the center overall.
Got it. Okay. So as long as those challenges, as long as I'm being creative and I'm finding solutions to those challenges and they're not
Yes.
feeling like a struggle, I guess they're there to serve me somewhere.
You don't have to guess. They
Yeah.
are.
They are. Yep.
Does
Okay.
that help?
Yeah, absolutely. I have another question, if it's okay. So I
One
had
more.
yeah, got it. I had that recurring dream as a child, which is basically I used to go to the grocery store in the neighborhood, and I would come back, find our building is completely gone, start crying. This man dressed in white comes and kind of leads me to a pink temple with a long stairway to the sky and the clouds. Um, was that kind of is there a meaning to that dream, or is that
It's a gentle reminder. It's a gentle reminder that physical reality is not your home, but you have a home somewhere else in spirit.
I see. So that's more the pink temple is more the spirit world.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for all your
passion and our pleasure. Good day.
Hi, Bashar. My name is Jen and I live in Queensland, Australia, in beautiful Sunshine Coast. I have just discovered your transmissions around Christmas time, December period, and they have helped me a lot. So thank you very much for everything that you have brought through for us here and now. During one of the shows that I was watching where you were bringing through a transmission, I was up to the point where there was question and answers, and one of the ladies answered what I felt was a very intense, energetic question. And all of a sudden, before you were about to answer, my power in my house went completely off, just for no reason. My question around this is, was that a pure coincidence, or was there something else happening? And if there was something else happening, is there any connection to me? And yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. Bye.
Yes. There's no such thing in that sense as a coincidence in the sense of an accident. Everything is synchronistic. So when you felt that the question was intense, you allowed your own energy field to become more intense, and that interfered with the electromagnetic field of the electricity systems in your dwelling. So you raised your frequency to the point where you got a physical synchronistic demonstration of how far you had extended your vibrational frequency, how much you had raised it, to the point where it could actually manipulate and interfere with electrical fields in your reality.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
It's really nice to speak with you.
You as well.
I wanted to ask you, how does the process of falling asleep work, and how come we never remember the moment when we fall asleep?
Well, some people do, but the process is simply a transition between your focus on the idea of physical reality, and you're defocusing upon that idea because you are recharging your physical body by reconnecting more strongly to spirit. So it is a very gentle transition, but it's kind of like having a dial that turns something down incrementally so that you don't necessarily always notice the transition from one state to another, but it's basically a defocusing of your intention on physical reality and now more of a focus on spiritual reality. Because the two are not that far apart, vibrationally speaking, at least at the borderline between the two, it may not always be necessary to notice when you cross, because it requires such a small shift in your vibration to go from physical to non-physical reality focus. And that's usually why people don't notice. Spiritual reality, non-physical reality, is closer vibrationally to physical reality than many of you think.
Okay, I think that answers it. I also wanted to ask you if people have really similar eyes or almost like the same looking eyes, does that can that mean that they are from the same oversoul?
Well, it can be a signal if that's the signal that was agreed to be able to tell. It doesn't have to be, but it can be used that way. Other things can be used that way too. Spirits may agree that they will have a particular mark or something that will remind them that because that is similar to someone else, that there may be a connection there. Because sometimes you need physical reminders of a connection that you have agreed to have that you may not otherwise remember in physical reality. So yes, it can be. It doesn't have to be, but it can be.
So it could theoretically be that one person would notice that connection or that similarity and another person would completely miss it?
Yes.
Okay. Another thing I really wanted to ask you is that you shared locations of some of the portals and the vortices that are in the United States area.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you could share maybe some portals that are in Europe or Eastern Europe particularly.
Well, we have, to some degree, done some of that already, but there are several. Prague is a very strong portal in a lot of ways, a master portal in that area. So you might want to explore that.
What does the portal in Prague represent?
The portal in Prague represents an ability to connect to energies of the past, but in a way that can be adapted to moving into the future in a way that still creates a connection with community.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Yes, all right.
And one last question. It's kind of a personal, I guess. I have sometimes trouble feeling empathy towards some people, and I'm worried that may be a problem. And is there something that I can do to be more empathic?
Well, you say towards some people. Does that mean there are specific reasons why you don't feel empathy towards certain people because of what they do? Or why do you not feel empathy toward those people? Or were you just being general?
It just feels like sometimes I'm able to be empathetic to those same people, and sometimes I'm completely just switches off.
Because of something that they're saying or doing, or just for no reason apparently at all?
Well, it may be that related to my thoughts about them, probably, but
All right. And what are the thoughts that allow you to experience a shutdown of your empathy? You do understand. Do you understand that you can have empathy without agreement?
what
You don't have to agree with someone or think of them a certain way to still have empathy.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
I think so. It feels as if I understand it, but in my
All right.
mind, it does.
Well, can you give us a specific example of the kind of thought you might suddenly have about someone that makes you feel like you can no longer be having empathy for them? Can you give us a specific example?
Yes, well, I have some friends, for example, which I had really good memories with, and then I had really bad ones too. And it's
Yes.
just feels sometimes that I can remember only the good ones or only the bad ones. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. All right. So what you're basically saying is that your empathy shuts down when you are judging others.
Yes. Okay.
Well, then you are judging them.
All right.
So the idea is that in judging them, you are not allowing yourself to feel connected to them. Now, again, you don't have to agree with them. You don't have to connect strongly with the experience that they may be promoting
yes.
in order to understand that you can have compassion and you can have empathy with the understanding that they're going through a challenge. It's not anything you have to take personally. So the idea of shutting down your empathy is that you may be taking some of those things personally rather than simply looking at them objectively and recognizing with compassion that, all right, they're going through some kind of a tough challenge. And I understand that their behavior is exhibiting that. And while I don't agree with aligning with that behavior, it's not what I prefer, I can still empathize that they're going through a challenge because you've gone through challenges in your life as well. And the idea is that you would still want people to understand you're going through those challenges and that you're going to make yourself a better person by facing them in a positive way. So you give them compassion and you send them energy to be able to face their challenges in a positive way that helps them become more aware of who they truly are and helps them grow. So you can have your empathy and your connection to them to that degree without feeling like empathizing with them means you agree with the belief systems that they're exhibiting or the behavior that they're exhibiting. Does that help?
Yes, very much. And to make this a habit, I just keep on, have to consciously keep on practicing that, right?
Well, yes, but again, you have to find the reason why it doesn't make sense to do otherwise.
Okay.
Then it becomes something that you constantly do. You will always respond that way. In a sense, look at it from the perspective of an adult or a parent to a child. If a child makes a mistake, if a child has a tantrum, you understand that you don't reject the child. You know that the child may need some guidance. You know that the child may need some compassion, may need some very loving communication, or just needs to be left alone for a while to figure things out. But you don't remove your love from the child. You don't disconnect from the child. You know that it's simply part of the process of the child's experience in growing up and learning how to be someone who can experience balance in life, who gets a sense of themselves in a stronger, more stabilized way. So you can look at your friends that way, even though they may no longer technically be children. Anyone going into a fear-based reality and a fear-based behavior, in a sense, is still learning to grow. So you can perhaps relate to them as you would to a young child who's still learning their way.
Okay, I will. I want to say try, but I will make that my reality.
That's up to you. All I'm simply saying is find out what the reasons are why you wouldn't do that and realize that in coming up with a reason why you wouldn't allow yourself to still have compassion and empathy for what they're going through, then that's your challenge. And you're exhibiting the same thing that they're going through by holding on to something that kills your empathy and compassion.
Okay, thank you.
They're reflecting that to you.
All right, I will do that.
All right, up to you.
Thank you. I think that is it.
All right. Thank you very much. Good day.
Good day. Thank you.
All for your dialogues, your interactions, and your questions. And we would now allow you to relax and breathe deeply and encourage you to focus on whatever sights, sounds might accompany the idea of this meditative exercise. To allow yourself to really appreciate, deeply appreciate, go into great appreciation for your choice to experience physical reality. Feel the breath in your lungs. Feel the air around you. Feel the temperature. Allow yourself to be in gratitude for this experience. Allow yourself to really extend your senses, the sights, the sounds, the smells, the touches, everything that goes along with your experience of the crystallization of electromagnetic energy into electromagnetic energy and into the energy of matter. To allow yourselves to really deeply drink of physical reality and all the things that it offers you in a positive way, and face the challenges that come up from a positive energy, a positive point of view, because they all can serve you. All of them are the challenges you chose to face that you know deep down will allow you to become, allow you to experience the truth of yourself, an expanded awareness of yourself, an expanded experience of physical reality, an expanded experience of time and space, an expanded experience of consciousness, a discovery of new aspects of your being. Rejoice in your experience of physical reality. Play as a child in that playground, because that's what it is. It's a playground of possibilities and probabilities and new adventures. Enjoy the adventure you have chosen. Anything that comes up that you don't prefer, it's there for a reason. It's there for at least the reason of teaching you that you don't prefer it. We're not talking about judgment. We're not talking about having a negative reaction and saying, I don't want that. It's there for a reason. Accept it, acknowledge it, own it, because you cannot change what you do not own. And stay in that positive state, knowing this is here to teach me something. Could be simple, could be complex, but it's here to extract information from, lessons from, to become more proficient at sharing these lessons, teaching these lessons, serving others, by me being willing to go through this experience and face the challenge in a way that will allow me to become more mature, more wise, more understanding, so that I may be able to become a true elder in my society and share with others what I have learned that might be able to help them too. Use physical reality this way as a true learning experience, as a true school, as a true university of knowledge, of growth, of understanding and expansion. To gain these kinds of experiences, to go through these kinds of challenges, gives you a wealth of knowledge that can be used in a variety of ways to invent, to teach, to share, to help, to serve, to love more fully, more profoundly than you have before, to honor your birthright as a being of creation, as an aspect of all that is in this way, to relish, to cherish your adventures and experiences as a physical being in a physical realm that is beautifully designed through synchronicity to mirror to you and reflect to you and guide you in this life in all the ways that are relevant for you, uniquely you. The multidimensional holographic nature of existence allows physical reality to serve any number of individuals in the way that they need to be served, so that they can serve, so that they can reflect the service given to them by giving it to others, by being yourself a living example of who you truly are, in joy, in love, in appreciation and gratitude, in harmony, in light. Use physical reality as your school, as your university. Learn the subjects you have chosen. This is your path. Challenge yourself at every turn. Why not? You are indestructible. So why not challenge yourself in greater and greater ways so that you can become the masters of limitation instead of allowing limitation to master you. Break free. Be free. You are free. And you have the freedom to choose how to interact with every experience in this life and every life, be it physical or non-physical, interdimensionally, eternally, infinitely. And love yourselves as best you can. You deserve it, so we encourage you to love yourselves unconditionally. That is also your birthright. Remember that physical reality is just another form of spiritual expression. It may seem dense at times, but that's all right. Because you have the power and the strength to go through and transform those things into light and love. And breeze through them with no impediment, with no obstacles. Just watch your definitions, for they define everything about how you experienced what you have chosen to experience. Be free to choose what you prefer. Discover whatever comes up and greet it in a positive energy. Thank you for revealing yourself to me, that I may now work with you to discover more of myself and be freer and more truly who I really am as an aspect of all that is. Rejoice, celebrate, cherish, and continue to breathe. Just breathe. The breath of life will carry you through many things, many challenges. Just remember to continue to breathe. Our unconditional love to you all. Sweet dreams and welcome home. Good day.